Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to Bridges. I'm Monica Schmelter, and today for Thanksgiving it's a special episode where you get to meet all of the WHTN team as we share our Thanksgiving memories. And I have with me right now Ashley McLean and Kathy Morgan Thompson. And Ashley, it's good to have you.
It's exciting to be on this side.
Yeah, Kathy, it's good to have you on Bridges today.
Good to be here.
I know I've seen you so many other times when you bring all your grandchildren and do fun things, but today we get to talk to you.
Right, right.
So Ashley, help us get started. What is a Thanksgiving memory from your childhood that you can share?
I remember in the first home that I really remember having a lot of memories in, we hosted Thanksgiving. And this was with my mom's side of the family. So they're Italian and they're very loud. And it wasn't to me, I felt like I was little, so it seemed like a big house because the ceilings were tall.
Yeah.
But looking back now, I'm like, there was like 20-some people in this very, very tiny house. We'd bring out all of the, like card tables and set them up. And one of my favorite memories, I feel like we had the traditional food, but always some kind of like pasta, of course, and lots of bread and stuff like that. But my mom had these little gold turkeys, and they were the little place card holders.
Yes.
And she decorated the most beautiful tables, even for the kids' table. She'd have the little turkeys.
That's so nice.
And they had our little names on them, and everybody was just supposed to sit where the little name was. And my Uncle Chuck, because he's Uncle Chuck, and he's hysterical. He's the youngest of the siblings, and he's the only boy. So he would go around and just mix them all up just to make my mom upset.
Yes, there is.
So we just had a good time, and it was always funny. Just a good Italian Thanksgiving.
That sounds wonderful. I remember actually the kids' table, and I can remember when I would sit at the kids' table, my big dream and goal would be when I could sit at the big people's table. Right. And now I wish I could go back to the kids' table.
Yes. Right. It's much more fun at the kids' table.
Yes. It sounds like your mom did a wonderful job at making
She
Thanksgiving special. So Kathy, how about you, a Thanksgiving memory?
I don't have any particular memory to share on Thanksgiving Day, but we had a really fun tradition the day after Thanksgiving. We'd take my son on the train. We were living in Connecticut at the time. We'd take him on the train down to Grand Central Station in Midtown Manhattan. And along our walk down Fifth Avenue, we'd stop at one of the vendors and get roasted peanuts or roasted chestnuts to eat along the way. Oh. And we'd go and look at the different major department stores, their Christmas window displays, which were pretty extravagant. So stores like Bloomingdale's, Saks Fifth Avenue, Tiffany's, Macy's, and then my son's favorite, of course, was the largest toy store, FAO Schwartz. So it was just a fun memory. We'd go to Rockefeller Center, and they'd have a big 100-foot Christmas tree with beautiful decorations and enormous ornaments, and then they have the ice skating rink there in the center of it, and we just watch them ice skate. It was just a really great memory.
Yeah, even when I hear you talk about that, Kathy, Ashley, so many times I've thought about just how wonderful it would be to go to New York. I see all of that on TV, and I always think I'm going to do that someday, and I've never done it, and it sounds wonderful.
It is. I've been there other times of the year, but there's something special about Christmas. Yeah. Being there and walking the streets there.
100-foot Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That's pretty special.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. I think that for me, a Thanksgiving memory that I remember with a lot of fondness is when my husband's parents were still alive, and they were living in the Michigan area. And my husband and I would rent a chalet in the Gatlinburg area where we always had a nice view of the Smokies, and my in-laws and my sister-in-law and her husband would come in, and we would share that great big chalet, and I would cook for everybody. And I just remember the shopping, planning that meal. Now, Ashley, I didn't do little plate cards.
Only my mom. Only my Italian mom.
Well, I would want to do that, but everyone in my family would be like your Uncle Chuck. Yeah. They would love just to tease me and move those things all over. But that's just a memory that I look back on, and I'm so glad that we were able to do that for a few years in a row. It was really fun. So how about a current memory, Thanksgiving memory, Ashley?
Current Thanksgivings look very different.
No little place card
No
holders
place
on
card
table?
holders. There's a lot of looking at the back of my brother-in-law and father-in-law's head in a vehicle.
So you go on a road
We
trip.
go on a road trip, which is normal, you know, but we drive to Illinois to see their side of the family, which is about 5.5 hours.
Okay.
If my husband's driving, we can make it in 4.5 sometimes. But then we eat dinner, and then we also drive home.
Oh, gosh.
In the same
The
day?
same day. So we just go up there to eat dinner, and we come home. And yeah, it's fun, and I love their family, so
Yeah.
I enjoy going, but it's so normal to Bobby because they always just drove there to eat Thanksgiving lunch.
Like when he was growing up, they just drove there, ate, and drove back.
Sometimes I think when he was little, they'd stay overnight with the cousins, you know, because it's
Yeah.
fun. But no, we just go and eat, and then we come home.
Quick trip.
Quick trip.
Yeah,
trip.
it's like Thanksgiving in a moment,
It
in a
is.
whirlwind.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that sounds wonderful, though.
It is fun. It's adventurous. It's funny because all the guys are in the car, and I just get to observe and laugh at them because, you know, the dad and the two brothers bickering and making fun of each other's driving, and so it's very entertaining. That's for sure.
Well, entertaining is big on the fun
Yes,
scale, right,
yes,
Kathy?
yes.
What are some other memories you might like to share, Kathy?
Oh, gosh. Well, last year, my parents moved from Massachusetts down here to Tennessee. So we had, you know, our first Christmas with them here in Tennessee. My twin sister and her family live down here, and my son and his family live here in Middle Tennessee, too. So we all got together for a big Christmas. For a while, it was just Dave and I here in
Yeah.
Tennessee. So it was nice.
Isn't it wonderful just to have everybody
Yeah.
together, like even if it's not
Yeah.
a holiday? Yeah. So these days, what the Schmelters do is that I cook. And I just invite everybody over, and I love it. Like, I love having that day to cook and to prepare. Well, actually, I probably start preparing the day before because you know how that is.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like to just have all kinds of food, way too much, way too many desserts, and nobody counts calories in the Schmelters on Thanksgiving.
They don't
No.
count on Thanksgiving.
They just don't. They just don't. And I always have this big plan, Kathy, that like after Thanksgiving dinner or at some point that I'm going to work out or I'm going to work out before. And it never does that ever happen.
No.
I just make all the food. And good thing for my family, I also like to clean, so I don't mind cleaning it up.
They just get to enjoy the food and yeah.
I should say on their behalf, everyone offers to help.
Sure.
But I sort of prefer, are you like this? I sort of prefer everybody get out of my way and let me do it my way. Yeah.
It's really hard for me to let them do it and watch them do it, and I'm like, oh, I wish you would have put the fork in that little container because that's where the forks go. Why don't you know that?
Well, that's a thing. That's a thing, don't you think? Like, I don't know, like, don't you see that that's where that size fork goes? That's where all the other ones are, but no one in
don't.
my family sees it like that.
No, mine neither.
Yeah. We just have a happy Thanksgiving anyway. Though.
Yeah. What do you
Well, thank you guys for sharing these memories with
Sure,
us.
thanks.
It's been so good. We want you to continue to hang out with us today as all of the team here at WHTN shares some of our favorite Thanksgiving memories.
Join the Bridges community on Facebook. Visit Facebook and search for Bridges with Monica. We would love to connect with you.
Don't miss another episode of Bridges. Subscribe to our YouTube channel today, where you can find all of Monica's latest teachings and interviews. It's easy to do. Just visit youtube.com, search Monica Schmelter, and click subscribe. Once you are subscribed, click the bell icon to get notified when a new episode is available to view. Thanks for watching Bridges.
Log on to www.ctntv.org, where you can make a prayer request, view our program guide, see who's on Bridges, or even watch one of Monica's latest teachings. Log on to www.ctntv.org.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm the newest production member here at CTN.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm the Master Control Engineer here at WHTN. Now, Tyler, what does your typical Thanksgiving look like?
Well, growing up, I had a very small family. It was just me and my parents. So it was just a great time to relax and just chill out. But every year we would try to do something small, just to make every year unique. But what about you?
Well, my experience is actually the exact opposite. Now, my mom's side of the family is pretty large, and there's a big emphasis on tradition. Now, we have lots of food, lots of activities, lots of fun, but, well, it's a lot. It can be overwhelming at times.
And no matter what your situation is, though, we're here to help you. So, here are our top 10 Thanksgiving tips to make your Thanksgiving experience the best that it can be.
Let's get started, shall we? Now, I know it's tempting to procrastinate with your Thanksgiving plans, but all that leads to is stress, and ain't nobody got time for that. Tip number 1, plan ahead and shop early. Rather than waiting until the week of Thanksgiving to do all the prep work, start planning a few weeks early. Even if you're busy with other things, doing a little bit each day will spread out the load. Buy non-perishables, plan activities, prepare your house, and so on.
If your Thanksgiving plans are stressing you out and you're biting off more than you could chew, make your guests do all the work. Tip number 2, plan a potluck. If you're hosting a Thanksgiving dinner, all of those pesky side dishes can easily become too much to handle by yourself. Asking your guests to bring side dishes will take a big load off of you and introduce various styles of cooking that you may not have considered. Plus, your guests will probably like thinking they actually contributed, for once. It's a win-win. Oh man, turkeys aren't going to be the only thing stuffed this Thanksgiving. Oh, I can't wait to eat all the turkey I can get.
Now, I like eating turkey as much as this guy, but cooking it the same way can get boring. Now, why don't you spice up your life and go on a flavor-filled adventure? Tip number 3, try a different turkey cooking method. Take your meal up a notch and go on a savory safari, a juicy journey, an extra delicious expedition. There are many different ways to cook that bird, such as brining, grilling, deep frying, smoking, slow cooking in a crock pot, and many more. The choice is yours. But whichever cooking method you choose, just don't hurt yourself.
If you don't want to cook Thanksgiving dinner, well, join the club. You know, if I try to cook Thanksgiving dinner, I'd burn the house down. So I prefer to dine out, less risk of being homeless. But instead of going to the same old place you usually go to get a family dinner, why not try something new to spice things up? Tip number 4, try a new restaurant. Go to a restaurant you've never gone to before. Try your local ma and pa restaurant and support the small business. Who knows? Maybe you'll find your next favorite Thanksgiving meal.
That would be splendid. However, sometimes extended family can be a little bit too much to stomach. In that case, give them a break and get out of town. Tip number 5, travel to a new place. Sometimes you need to take a detour and find a new route to an enriching Thanksgiving experience. Travel to a new and interesting place to try new things, experience new customs, and maybe even create new traditions. You may be surprised at what you find.
If you don't want to travel anywhere too far, well, that's perfectly fine. There are places around you that are just as enjoyable, like your local park. Tip number 6, go to a park. Walk around and enjoy the outdoors with your family. If you're feeling photogenic, take some pictures of your family. Take some selfies. The fall season provides some extra color to the environment, making for some nice backdrops for your photos. Plus, all that walking around, it'll help burn off that pumpkin pie.
Of course, if you want to stay indoors where it's warm, that's okay too. That's what I would do. But there's plenty of ways to enjoy your Thanksgiving in your home. Tip number 7, play games. If you have a small family, there are lots of games to play together. From video games to board games to card games, you have a wide range of options that can appeal to everybody. For larger families, the card game Spoons is always fun and frantic to play. You can also avoid family arguments by writing down fun questions on note cards, put them in a container, and then pass the container around for everybody to pick a random question to answer. Just whatever you do, avoid Monopoly. The goal of Thanksgiving is to bring your family together, not tear them apart.
With all our busy schedules, it's totally understandable if you just want to sit back and relax and turn off your brain. So, pop some popcorn, plop on the couch, and enjoy some television. Tip number 8, watch TV. Was there a movie you've been wanting to watch? Ask your family if they'd be willing to watch it. Or try this fun idea. Watch one episode of everyone's favorite show. And be sure to pick a show that's friendly for your family. The whole point of all of this is to bond with your family, not have them question your sanity. And if all else fails, watch a football game.
Speaking of questioning your sanity, if there's one aspect of Thanksgiving that makes me question somebody's sanity, it's waiting all day and all night just to get a good deal on Black Friday. Tip number 9, don't stress about Black Friday. Is a good deal or two worth spending lots of time away from your family and friends? I say no, but if you absolutely can't curb that shopping addiction, shop online before or after the Thanksgiving festivities. That way you can get the best of both worlds.
And lastly, tip number 10, keep it simple. Thanksgiving is a holiday, not a work day, so don't stress about your plans. Don't make an elaborate schedule, and don't be a 5-star chef. Relax, enjoy, and most importantly, be thankful for all that God has given you and the people He's put in your life that love you.
Well, that's all, folks. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a happy and hopefully low-stress Thanksgiving.
Don't give in. God's word says you're an overcomer. It takes training. It takes discipline. And so when you're fighting that good fight of the faith, you take your story, whatever it is, and you saturate it in faith, and you fight for it.
Visit monicaschmelter.com to schedule Monica to speak at your next event.
Log on to www.ctntv.org, where you can make a prayer request, view our program guide, see who's on Bridges, or even watch one of Monica's latest teachings. Log on to www.ctntv.org.
We'll shake hands. Gotta be ready. Is that how we should start?
No.
Okay.
We practice
Okay,
this.
ready?
Sure.
Okay.
Is this the end?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know the recipe. You know that.
Do I need to have my mic on?
Turned on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sophie Cherry.
And I'm Sam Cherry.
And instead of a cherry pie today, we're making apple pie bars for Thanksgiving. You ready?
As ready as I'm gonna be.
All right, let's do it. So Sam's gonna start by peeling and chopping our apples. For this recipe, you're gonna wanna use 6 apples. Any kind will work. We are using 2 because we're gonna make a smaller batch today.
And I don't have any other skills outside of cutting the food, so I'm gonna do this the whole time.
It'll be great. And we're gonna start by making the crust. So you're gonna wanna have 2 sticks of butter softened in your bowl. And then you're going to want to mix in 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, right here. And also 1/4 cup of packed brown sugar. So pack it in, make sure it looks nice.
Is there a difference between packed brown sugar and regular brown sugar?
Yeah, packed brown sugar, make sure you get the full amount because it is so light. You need to make sure that you have the full 1/2 cup.
Is it like what I buy packed brown sugar at a store?
No, you wouldn't. You have to pack it yourself.
It's a verb, not an adjective. I see.
It's kind of like when you're going to visit your family for Thanksgiving, you have to pack the car, make sure you've got everything all right in there.
You wouldn't buy a packed car.
Correct. You wouldn't. So we're gonna mix it up. What you wanna do with this is cream it so that you get some nice air in there and it gets really light and fluffy so that everyone loves our crust and it can support the apples. So once you've got that done, you're going to add 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We're using whole wheat today, but you can use any kind. So we're gonna add that in. Ooh.
I like that the year that I'm not having to get all of the things, you put different colors. Instead of last year where it was 11 things of all white powder. Which of these unlabeled white powders is sugar?
The far one.
Okay.
Oh, great. So make sure you get your flour all the way in there. Okay, and for this, you're gonna wanna mix it until it's just mixed. So it's gonna kind of look like wet sand, but that'll be perfect because we're gonna be able to press it into our crust.
That just sounded really unappetizing. You're like, yeah, for your recipe. It's like wet sand, you know, that thing you love to eat.
Yeah, it's a beautiful texture, but it also reminds us of the beach when it's cold outside.
Yeah, totally.
You know? So now that that's all mixed up, it's all good to go. You're going to take your pie pan or your dish, whatever you're cooking in. Hopefully yours is a 9 by 13. Ours is about a 1 by 3 right now.
I'm doing a bad job, I'll be honest.
And you're going to put parchment paper on the bottom and then put your cooking spray on top so that it doesn't stick. Because what's worse than having your dessert stick on Thanksgiving? Unless it's marshmallows, right?
Yeah.
Classic. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put our crust in there. Sam's gonna keep on chopping those apples. We work through the pain.
It's so not good.
Okay, so like I said, you're gonna put it in there and then you're going to press it down so that it covers all the sides of the pan. So once that's pressed in there, you're going to put it into a 350 degrees oven for 20 minutes. And we're kind of pre-baking the crust so that it can support the weight of the apples.
Okay, and all right.
You're doing great.
This is a table, not an oven. So imagine you have an oven sort of in this area, and it's done. Hooray!
Amazing job. Great. Now we're going to move on to make the actual filling. I have a great story about Thanksgiving I'd love to share.
Go for it.
My family, particularly my dad, hates turkey on Thanksgiving. He just hates it for whatever reason.
Well, it's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's not great.
It's not a good
food. 2 years ago, we were at the beach with like all of our extended family, and my grandmother bought a really big turkey. It was like the night before actually Thanksgiving when we were gonna cook it, and we were all sitting around the table. We had just played some games. Sam was there too. It was super fun. And he was like, man, I hate turkey. And we were like, yeah, Dad, what are you gonna do about it? So he...
I think that was exactly what you said. It was like, yeah, what are you gonna do about it?
Yep, and it's all of my cousins. So there's 10 of us young people around my dad egging him on. So he grabs this turkey, and remember, we're at the beach. Grabs this turkey, walks out the back door, and throws it into the ocean. So he threw our Thanksgiving turkey into the ocean. And it was great. Everyone was like, what is our grandma gonna do about it? She was fine. She was perfectly fine, and we had pizza. It was great.
The problem was the next morning when we walked out and the turkey had washed up on shore, and we had to throw it back into the ocean again because we hadn't decided whether or not we were gonna tell Grandma that we threw her Thanksgiving turkey away.
Yep, and that's a classic Wharf Thanksgiving. All the drama.
Is this?
Yeah, that's the course, so we're not gonna wanna include the
I understand that. What do I? All right, I'll just keep going on this one.
Chop it up.
We'll just cut this part out.
And you can chop your apples however you like. If you want them more in slices like this, that's great. Or if you want little pieces, you can do that too.
If you want them to be good. This is a food crime, and I need to go to food jail. This is all.
You're doing a great
Is this
job.
good? Can you use this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
apple number 2. We're gonna do 1 because I couldn't do my 1 job, so we're gonna move on.
So next, we're working on the filling. And Sam did an awesome job cutting up our apples. Really, it was great. And he's also gonna cut that lemon in half because we're gonna need half of a lemon's worth of juice. That'll give it kind of like a zing and also keep it from going brown.
Yeah.
Love it.
Half of a lemon's worth of juice.
Great job.
Done.
And next, we're gonna take half of a cup of brown sugar and pour it in there with them. Again, don't forget to pack down your brown sugar because you want it as sweet as possible. And put that in there, okay? And then Sam, do you want to do half of a teaspoon of vanilla extract in here?
Sure.
Awesome.
Do we have a teaspoon?
Yeah.
Now this says half a cup.
So, like I said, we're working with smaller quantities, but larger instruments.
This is the trick, is you get the half a cup, and then it's like, oh, Sam, you know, all those measurements you're really familiar with. Just put it in the food. How much do I put in here now?
Half of a teaspoon. So just do a little.
Okay.
Okay, fill the cap up halfway.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, that's also a great way that we can measure this.
Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, great. That looks awesome. Okay, will you also do half of a teaspoon of cinnamon? Just don't put it in the cap.
Don't
so
put
a
it in
couple
the cap,
shakes
right,
will
see
do
that?
just
Okay,
fine.
a
Yeah.
couple of shakes, I can do that.
Okay, at the same time, I'm gonna add half of a teaspoon of salt. I'm doing the super, super correct palm measurement, if you've ever heard of that. So we'll pour that in there. And then let's see, do we have everything? We do. So then we'll mix this up. And like I said, you want it to form like a really nice brown glaze over the apples. So once that's mixed up and coated, like I said, it's gonna form a really nice brown glaze over it. You're gonna take your crust and you're going to place the apples on top of the crust.
I did plenty. I did so. Yeah, this is fine. I did it great, guys. I did it great. I take back everything I said earlier. I'm doing a bad job. I'll be honest. It's so not good.
Okay.
Is this good? Can you use this? I did a great job.
Yeah. Look.
We have so many of these good apples.
Good apples. Okay, great. So you're gonna wanna make sure that they form like an even layer on top of the crust. And then we will set that aside to make our crumble that goes on top. So now we're gonna work on the topping. For this, you're gonna want 1 stick of butter melted in your bowl. You're also gonna want 1 cup of chopped pecans, which we already have in here. And then you're going to take another ½ teaspoon of kosher salt. It's really nice to salt your sweet desserts because it kind of creates balance. And then we're gonna take 1½ cups of all-purpose flour. Right here, okay? You're also going to take 1/2 cup of brown sugar, packed in, and you're gonna put that in there. So, like I said, we've got salt, butter, pecans, brown sugar, flour, and butter in here. And then Sam is gonna give it a mix, and it's gonna look like a really yummy, crumbly crust. Okay, cool. So Sam's doing a really great job, and it's getting crumbly just like we wanted it to. So we're gonna take our prepared crust and apples, and we're gonna just place it lightly on top. So you can grab it and sprinkle it, but you want it to coat the apples completely. Beautiful. Okay, awesome. And then Sam is gonna put it in the oven for us. And this goes in for an hour at 350 degrees again.
Okay, and you will notice a little bit of expansion when you put it in the oven. So it'll be a bit bigger, but this is sort of what you should expect. For that amount of ingredients, this is exactly what should come out. If you get less, you've done something very wrong. So this is about what you should be getting.
So another thing you can do right here at the end is take any grocery store caramel sauce and just drizzle it on top. It'll make it look really shiny and add a nice layer of flavor. So now let's dig in. I think it's time, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, grab us a knife.
There you go.
Okay, let's see. Awesome, look at that. Okay, let's get our other bar. Perfect.
Sure, yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome. You ready to taste it?
Sure.
Me too.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's very good.
Oh.
Well, now that our mouths are full, thanks for joining us on this Bridges special, and I hope you enjoy the recipe.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
When I truly turned my heart to the Lord, He took every sin I ever did away from me.
God really is your other half. God, He's the only person who can really, fill those holes and cracks in your heart that you're so wanting someone to fill.
It's no good to have a big dream if you're not putting yourself in motion to go after that.